Okay. Can you see the conference page?
Yes.
Okay. So this is where we stopped yesterday. We stopped at breaking down the stories. So that was what we did yesterday. So we're doing like brainstorming to break down all the features, right? So that's what we have today. We've broken down all the features. So let's assume that we are now about to, like as a team, we've documented all the things we will need, right? We've determined that this is what our story is, right? There's something we are also supposed to do. It's called the environmental infrastructure readiness, risk, dependency, and assumption, right? So why do we do this, right? We do this because we want to know what a dependency we will have, right? So what infrastructures do we need, right? So do we need a cloud storage? You remember we did in team priming that we said we might need cloud storage, right? So you want to know, okay, if you need a cloud storage, are we going to sort it out before we start doing all this work, right? So what other assumptions are you making? Are you making an assumptions that, okay, while we're doing this, we're saying that COVID is not going to end, right? So some team, all this environmental readiness and all that, as they're doing this, they'll be documenting it in another sheet to show that, okay, as we are thinking of doing this, but what if we now have more people? What is the plan? Do we want this web app to be scalable, right? So we are documenting all those needs, right? So they can use the same board, they can use a different board. This is the hardest part of the work, right? Breaking down that stories, the epic, doing all those details, right? So that's what you do in environmental infrastructure readiness, your risk, dependencies, right? What are the dependencies we have? Are we going to be depending on another team, maybe to help us with the cloud service, or are we going to outsource it, right? So maybe some assumption might, COVID might never end, right? So this is a very valuable stuff, right? Because we are assuming, because COVID might end, right? So those are the things we're doing in environmental and infrastructure readiness. Okay, so what you just do is for example, you can just copy it, right? Second, starting again. Yes, my internet is hanging. Trying to publish. Okay, I'll come back to you. Okay, I'm going to close it and I'll try and reopen it again. Okay. So I'm going to my Confluence. Initial planning checklist. Right. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm creating, this is initial planning. I want to create a child page under it. So I click here and I create the child page, right? And I document this that, okay, we want to talk about environmental infrastructure readiness, risk and dependencies. So I'm just going to list about 2, right? So let's say we're going to put environmental and infrastructure readiness here. We're going to put our risk in the second one. My system is now running slow. Okay. My system is really running slow. So assumptions. So let's say one of our assumptions is the team is assuming COVID will not end. So if this team is assuming COVID will not end, that means one of the requirements might be we should consider delivery, right, for physical copies, right? So we'll consider delivery for physical copies, right? So let's say delivery for physical copies, right? So what am I trying to say here? This environmental infrastructure readiness, risk, dependencies, assumptions, they will help you to get in more stories. So that's what I'm trying to say, because you are trying to understand what is required. So for example, maybe you need to, for your environment to be ready, you need to make sure that you have your cloud storage in place, right? You need to have your maybe security in place because you want to ensure that you want to ensure that we do not have denial of service, right? So you are putting all this in place. This will now help you to ensure that you capture all that is needed. It will also help you to capture things like, oh, this is a dependency. Because of this, we cannot move ahead, right? So we need to resolve that first before we can move ahead. So imagine all those things are now in place, right? Imagine we've done our dependencies, we've done our assumptions as a team, everything is done, right? So when we finished all this brainstorming as a team, this is all we came up with. Now, remember that our customer has not given us input on this. Our emerging artists are not giving us input on this. But us working on the project as a group with the sponsor, with everybody, this is what we came up with. So this register, browse, playlist, purchase, payment, platform compliance, ratings, affiliate program share, that is our epic, right? And we have all our stories under it. So what we want to do now is we want to estimate this story card. So they call them story card. We want to estimate it. Now I need to make something clear to you. Different team will always do things differently. In some organization, they will take all this story card. They will just take it and dump it in the backlog, right? And start refining bit by bit in the backlog. But in some organization, the sponsor will tell you, please, when are you going to get the minimal viable product out? Or the sponsor might not even say that. The sponsor will say, when are we going to market, right? If you put all this in the backlog, you can't tell the sponsor when you're going to the market, right? You don't know, right? So if you get an organization that they are giving you a new project and they're asking you, they want to know when you're going to go to the market, when are we going to release? They're asking you those kind of questions. You need to be able to give them something and you need to be able to estimate. But remember, in Agile, we don't do estimation by days, numbers, and all that, right? So the way we do it is we do relative estimate, right? It's from our relative estimates, we will now be able to give the stakeholder something, and I'll show you how to do that now, okay? So before we do that estimation, I want someone to explain to me Fibonacci series, because we are going to use that series now for this estimation. So based on what I explained yesterday, can someone explain the Fibonacci series to everyone? Or based on what you have read? I'm waiting. Sonny.
Thank you very much, Florence, for this question, and thank you, everyone. So for me, I think that what you said yesterday was the least story, like the smallest story. We will use the number, like the smaller the story, the smaller the number, like, because the Fibonacci series is having 2, 5, 8, and maybe 13. And you said the highest, if a story is estimated to be 13, then that should be an epic. But the story, we are going to look at the sizes of each story, and the developers are in charge of story pointing the work. So they are the ones to give us the story points for each user story. They are the ones to tell us how many points they think that this story is worth. And the smaller the story, the smaller the number. The bigger the story, then we take a bigger number like 8 and 8, 5. And during that process, it is the Scrum Master who is in charge, who facilitates that process of determining the estimates for each user story.
Thank you, Sonny. Thank you, Sonny. Yeah, you got it. You listened very well. So one thing I'll just correct is after 13, right? So the next number is 21. So at that point, it becomes an epic, right?
Oh, okay.
13 is the highest you can have, right? So if it's more than that 13, it becomes an epic. Well done. Babs.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, you just, that's what I was going to point out, which is at a certain stage, which is 13, you have to break down the stories and break it again and start all over again to make sure that indeed it's not too big for you to handle within the sprint. Yeah. So I think that's the key takeaway that I got from the mathematical analysis. I mean, beyond the times and the knowledge, it's just the key point is that 13 threshold, which is you need to start all over again.
Exactly. So now that we are all clear in terms that we will do a relative estimation, and then when it's more than 13, it becomes an epic, right? So for us to do that relative estimation, yesterday when we talked about the apple and the watermelon, right? So how long will it take me to eat an apple? How long will it take me to eat watermelon, right? So now we're going to do that using this, right? And everybody, we're going to try and estimate together, because I need to show the Scrum Master how they will facilitate this event, right? So let's say we've documented everything, right? So when I mean we've documented everything, we've looked at our environmental and infrastructure stuff. We've analyzed it. We know that we don't need all that. We've done all the things that are required for us to, accomplish all that. So now we want to estimate. So we'll take the smallest item. Let's say the smallest item here is home button, right? Fibonacci series starts from 1. The next level is 2. You add 1 plus 1, 2. The next level is 3. 1 plus 2 will give you 3. The next level is 5, right? 2 plus 3 will give you 5, right? So you are doing a relative estimate that based on this one should be more difficult than this one, or this one should be the complexity and the effort it will require me to finish that task is more than this. So let's say home is the first one, and let's just say home is very small. What do we need to do in home page? Home page, maybe we'll just put the logo of Flaky Music app, then maybe the logo, nothing serious on the home page, right? So let's say, okay, it will be easy for us to do home page, and we're going to estimate the home page to be 1 second. I'm looking for a shape. Okay, let's say we're going to estimate the home page as 1, right? Because it's easier to do, right? It's something we can quickly do. So we are estimating the home page to be 1, right? No, that's not what I want there. Okay, so we are estimating the home page to be 1, right? So let's say we now want to estimate the login page in relation to the home page. That's what we want to do now. We want to estimate the login page in relation to the home page. Okay, so now we're gonna use planning poker to do that, right? So as the Scrum Master, you are facilitating this event. So you are trying to say, okay, we know that home is the home page is the smallest here, and we've estimated that. So now we want to estimate the login page. for us to estimate the login page, you have to provide a platform for them. And planning poker is one of the most common tools that they use for that. Some people use Mural, right? But I find planning poker easy, right, to manage. So I'm going to start a game, and we'll call the name Flaky App Music, right? And remember, we are using the Fibonacci series, right? 1, smallest, the next one is 2 in relative to 1. The next one is 3 in relative to 2. The next one is 5 in relative to 3. So create a game. So my display name is Flow. I'm going to join in as this. No, let me join as a spectator, because I'm the Scrum Master. I'm not going to be estimating. So I'm joining in as a spectator. Okay, so continue game, right? So I'm going to send the link, and I will expect you to join so that we can actually do some estimation. So if you can join, click on that link and join so we can estimate. So I can see Chini. I'm sure as people are joining, you can see them on the screen. I don't know how many people it can accept, but as people are joining, you'll see them on the screen, okay? My system is very slow today, so it's taking time to show the names. Okay? Okay, so we have enough people, right? Who is controlling this game? Okay? 1 second.
It should be you, right?
Yeah. 1 second, because I need to write the card, but my system is slow today. I don't know, maybe because I didn't restart it. You know what? I'm gonna restart this. 1 second.
Do you use a PC?
Yes, I use a PC.
That's why. You need to change the Mac Pro.
To Mac Pro?
Yes.
I have Mac. I do.
Okay.
I do. Okay, please read. They want me to read something, just open. Okay, my system is so slow.
You can reboot it and see if
I don't know.
that'll just take like a minute or so.
I'm scared of doing that. Oh, what if I restart it and it's taking forever?
Maybe you turn on your Mac and use your Mac.
Okay, maybe. I will have to change system. But let's try again. If it doesn't work, then I'll change system. Okay. No. Okay. Let me change your page. Then I'm coming. Okay. Okay. I'm going to close it. I think it's this screen that is giving me issue. That browser. So I'm changing my browser now. Okay. So can you see my screen? Oh, I have to stop that one. 1 second. Stop sharing. Okay, let's go to Google, another browser. A better browser. Okay, so Flaky App Music, Fibonacci series, create game, card. I thought this was working. What the heck is happening today? you know what I want to do? I want to click here and get a card, right? And it's not working, but when I try it like this, it was working. I guess it's my system then. So can someone share? Then I can direct you. Can someone share their screen?
Sure, I can.
Okay, great. I'll give you the link to the game. It's in the chat now. Click on it.
Okay, just a moment. Let me come.
Okay.
Let me bring that in. Teach in.
So just share your screen and I'll direct you.
Yes.
Let me just try again while you're waiting. Okay. So see,
okay,
so this is
disabled participant.
Oh, okay. I don't think you are able to share.
No, I cannot share.
Ima will have to do that. Ima, in case I have any issue, please allow people to share. Okay. Okay. So this is what I'm trying to do. Remember, we are trying to estimate the home page. So I'm gonna put the issues there. Home. I'll save it. Right. So now we have home. I'm going to just put about 3 stuff for us to estimate. Right. Create accounts, right? Save. So what I'm doing is I'm adding all the issues here. Sometimes you don't need to add, you can just give them numbers, right? Because sometimes you don't want to add stuff, you can just give number, okay? So the next one is title track, right? So let's try it now. So let's see if it's gonna work. So I'm gonna share the link again, copy. So you can use that link to come in now so that we can estimate. And don't come in as a spectator, please, because you are going to be voting. So it's the Scrum Master that is coming in as a spectator, okay? You are going to be voting, so don't come in as a spectator. Okay, I can see a lot of people in. I can see people are in. I can see everyone, okay? So now that we are all in, I'm going to give you the first card, then you start voting. Remember, you are voting in relation to the home page, right? We already have home button as 1. Right? Oh, this is supposed to be login, sorry. Changing it, okay? Login. Login page. Okay. So you can vote now. Voting this issue. So you should be able to vote. So are you able to vote? I think has voted.
Sorry, Florence. Yeah? I can't see the issues on my homepage.
You can't see the issues?
Yes.
Okay, so you don't need to see the issues, right? Okay, let me just grade them so that you understand. I'm deleting everything, okay? Okay, so I'm going to add the issue, home page. So can you see it now? So voting now, you can start voting. You will choose a card from the bottom, right?
Okay.
Bottom, right?
Even I can't see the issues on the right-hand side.
Okay, I don't know why, but can you vote?
No, because the voting tab is not coming.
The voting tab is not coming.
Yeah.
Myself too.
So you can't pick a number at the bottom.
Oh, well.
I can vote now. I can vote now.
Okay, vote. Okay, so you can see at the bottom, You can see at the bottom, not everybody voted. Okay, this stop is starting all over again, I see now. Okay, I don't know why it's doing that. Vote now. Okay. Operating itself, okay. Let's see.
Florence.
Yeah?
Could you help me understand what's happening? Like, so I see the first issue, and you said that we're supposed to be voting against it. Yes. What exactly does that mean? It's not quite clear to me.
So let me explain what it means, right? I don't even like this online one. So let me use the one I normally use, okay?
Okay.
I will explain to you now, okay?
Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing to log in, okay? One second. .com. Okay, so let me share my screen now. That online one was giving me a headache. Okay, so I have my account here. So what we are trying to do is that we want to estimate our cards, right? We already have our cards on the board. Remember what we had on Moral, right? That we have home page, all our story card, right? Do you remember? Who was asking questions?
Yes, I remember.
Okay, so you remember all those cards we have, right? And we already estimated the home button to say the home button is our low, like this easiest one, and we estimated it as 1. So we need to estimate all the other cards that we have on the screen, right? So we are going to be estimating it in relations to each other, right? So now that's what we want to do. So we are now using planning poker. What we want to do is Fibonacci series, which is we are using the 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, right? If we estimate something as 21, that means you are telling us that it's too big. Make it an epic, right? But as a Scrum Master, what you are going to do is the stories are now available. You are going to facilitate the session to be able to make them vote. So any method you use, right, will be good. I went to a team one time and they were using charts to do estimation, you know, and one of the Agile coach was now complaining that, oh, why using chart that is very difficult to manage it and everything, you just expose it. You can't discuss it, right? So planning poker is what most people use for their team for estimation, okay? So I'm going to create a game now. Game name is Flaky App Music. Description is you just write about the app, right? So they're asking that what is the team velocity? We don't know it, so we say 0. Share the velocity with all players. We don't even know our velocity, right? Do you know why they're asking for velocity? So let's say if your velocity is 15 as a team, right? So when you have done some plans, let's say you have about 10 issues, but you have gotten to 7, it will now tell you that when you get to number 7 issue and you've already hit 15 story point, it will tell you that you're already at 15 story point. Do you want to continue estimating the remaining issues? Because maybe your team can accommodate just 15 story point. But that is when you are doing it on a sprint planning level. Remember I said that some organization, when they finish it, they will just pack all the story card into their backlog in Jira, but they'll be estimating at the sprint planning level. right? In that scenario, maybe nobody is asking them questions or something. But when you first have a new project, sponsors will ask you, when are you doing your release one? Where should we expect this product in the market? So this will help you to be able to give them that, okay? So now we don't have all this. It's saying that choose your card set. We are using the Fibonacci series. Remember I said that you can also use t-shirt sizing, right? Power of 2. So there are different ways you estimate, but the most common one is Fibonacci series, right? So it's asking that, are you also effort planning? I'm not. I'm the dealer. I'm the Scrum Master, right? So I'm not doing the effort planning. So that's why I said no. But if every other person will be able to do that, right? I mean the development team, the developer. Would you like to auto flip the card after everyone has voted? This is asking like, do I want when maybe Adeni has voted, he should show me the result. When Babs voted, no, I want everybody to vote independently so that we'll open the result at the same time so that we can discuss it. Would you allow players to change their vote after they reveal? I'm not interested in them changing their vote. So if you want them to change their vote after they reveal it, that means maybe Babs chose 8, for example. Maybe we now reveal the result. Bab now realized I'm the one that chose 8. Now try to choose 1 again. That's what they're asking. But I want it to be a no because I want to know why Bab is choosing 8. Okay? So would you like planning poker to calculate the score? Yes. Would you like a story timer? No. So it's that story timer that was working on that online stuff and is disturbing me because he's not giving me time to do my explanation. Okay. So now we'll put our stories here. We have the home already as 1. So we'll have our login. I said we are going to do only 3, right? This is just to show you, right? We are not going to put all the stories, right? So we'll say, let's add one. Title track. Okay, so what we are saying is that how long will it take us to create the login page? How long will it take us to create an account page, right? And how long will it take us to create a title track, right? In relation to the home page that we have. So we've converted this to stories. We have our stories, then I'll save it and start the game. So it's saying I have arrived. So I'll send you the link now to join. Can you see the stories at the side now on this one?
I don't have an answer. Is there something else I can help with?
Can you see the stories at the side?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so you can join now. I just sent the link to the chat.
This one's asking for email.
Oh.
Is that correct?
Kenny, did you use email? Yes, he asked me for my email as well.
Yes, so, I did.
Okay, yeah, he asked me for my email as well. Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to be sure. Thank you.
Okay.
Did you say we have to put your email, Florence?
As a spectator or something, or are we taking the spectator box?
No, don't click spectator. I'm the only spectator here. So when you click spectator, it means that you are not going to be dealing, like you are not going to be estimating. So that's what you expect the Scrum Master to pick, right? Because the Scrum Master is not going to be estimating.
Sorry, Florence. What email address should we put?
You can put your email address.
Okay.
Okay, 1 more minute till we start. Okay, let's start. So we start with the first story. You can estimate now. We are estimating the login page. How long will it take us to do the login page? Okay. I'm just waiting for other people to vote. Kenny, Eki. You know what you are considering, right? When you are thinking of the login page, right?
Florence, can you show us again what I have to do?
You have to. Are you in? Are you in now?
Can't hear you.
Hello?
Yeah.
I said, are you in? Are you in on Planning Poker?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Have you voted?
Yes, I did.
Okay. So we are voting for login page now in relation to home button, right? You know what the home page is, right? When you create an home page, right? So maybe the home page, you have the name of the app, right? Maybe it will show like a slogan. It will show something like "Get Started," right? The sponsor will tell you, I want the color to be maybe green and white, right? So now we are now trying to do the login page, right? So how long will it take us to now do the login page in relation to the home page? So the login page, we have something like maybe where I can enter my email and password, where if I have forgotten password, it will have all that on the page, right? It will also have what if I fail, my password fails, right? Where should the error go to, right? So all those things, right, is to have it. So you're now comparing it to home page. How long will it take you, right, to do that? So it's just an estimation. The way I said the apple and the watermelon. So that's what you're estimating. Now, remember something. Some people don't have to estimate if they don't have an idea, right? Those people will decide to be a spectator or they will click on pass. You can see pass at the bottom.
Right.
Yes. So, that means I don't have an idea, I will pass. Right? So because some of the stories might be a developer story or something, so they will pass. But the people that want to vote, will vote. So let's imagine that everyone has voted, because I see Ade, Lara, Ella, AB, and Kenny didn't vote.
Okay. So these are the Fibonacci series which is given down here is the number of days which is indicating out here?
No, we don't have. So in Fibonacci series, we don't do number of days. If you get to some organization, they will have turned this thing to days, right? You have to follow them in that route. But in Fibonacci series, you are dealing in terms of estimation, relative estimate, right? Login page is more difficult. I will need more effort to do login page than home page, right? So we are now saying, what is the effort you require to be able to do that login page? That's what the team is estimating right now. And everyone has estimated, so we'll now turn it to see the results.
Okay.
Please, I have a question. So when you say how long will it take? Peradventure, I chose 2, right? If somebody else chooses 21, so I'm trying to say that it would take me, let's say, like 2 minutes to do the login page. That's what I'm saying, while somebody else is saying it will take longer. Is that what that means?
Yes. So now we've seen the result, right? You can see the result on the screen. And it's very, so some people are saying it will take them 1. Like how long it will take me to do the home page is what it will take them to do the login page. I'm okay with that. It's fine if it's going to take you the same. I can see 2, like Banks, Messi, Moradeke, Inkiruka, right? D, right? They pick 2, right? They're saying it's fine, right? 2 is also as close to 1. That means you're telling me it's good. But I can see someone picking 8, Onyi picking 8, Vinny picking 8. I can see Babs picking 13. So as the Scrum Master, your role will not be, Babs, why are you picking 13? Why do you think this? Do you think this is going to be a very difficult task? Do you think the effort we require for this is a lot? So I will pass it to Bab now. Bab, why did you pick 13 for login page? Do you think the effort required is a lot? You're saying that, yeah?
I mean, I think I'm probably over-applying the real life scenario to building it.
Okay.
I shouldn't have taken that number. So let's just say that I will just, we can skip that as as an outlier in the Fibonacci series.
Okay. Onyi, why did you pick 8? Why did you pick 8 for the login page in comparison to the home page?
Yeah, I think, just like Bob said, I was just trying to create a scenario in my head, like if I'm to do that, I'm forgetting that it's a teamwork. Like if I'm to do that by myself and the level of my knowledge of computer, I'd probably take that long.
Yeah, which is fine, which is correct. And that is how it operates in the real world, right? So you are looking at it from your scenario that if I'm going to do this, it will take me 8, right? So the Scrum Master is now finding out from you that why. You now say, based on my understanding of what we're supposed to do, because I know that the login page, I will need to create the email. I will need to ensure that I have the password. If it fails, I need to know where the error messages will go to. I need to make sure that there's a call to action. You understand? Then the team will now, based on what you said, the team can now reveal, oh, I didn't consider that. Oh, that's true. Did you think about that? So based on that, the team might either decide to add more, because you can see here it's telling us that 5 is the average story point for this. If you look at the right-hand side at the top, you'll see 5. So it's telling us that 5 is the average score. So this story should be a 5 based on the different story, right, that people has documented here. So sometime, you know what will happen? After that argument forth and back, the Scrum Master will now say, let them revote on the login page again, based on a better understanding. So one thing I did not do when we were doing this is that you will first explain the story card you are going to vote on. So the product owner will explain the login page, right, before they will now vote, right? So you can see someone, maybe a business analyst, might not even vote. Sometimes some stories they will vote. Sometimes you say a QA not vote. So some people will pass. But it is always good for everyone to vote. And over time, it will be easier for you to vote. Okay? So that's how that is done. Chini.
Thanks, Florence. I was just trying to understand how this works. So are we making assumptions that everyone's skill set is the same? So for example, a fresher versus a genius would not spend the same amount of time or effort to set up a homepage, for example. In that case, when a fresher votes, he probably would vote an 8 because he thinks, oh, it will take me so much effort. I'm not very familiar with this platform yet, blah, blah, blah. And for that reason, I think it will take me 8 points, or rather, would estimate an 8, versus a genius who can close this, who can do this, even with his eyes shut, and then he can vote a 1. So I guess my question is, at what point does the Scrum Master harmonize people's skills to understand, what a fair value is for a story, And then the other thing also will be the assumptions that we make before this voting happens. Is it shared with everybody, or is an individual voting based on he's doing all the work? Or is he voting based on, oh, I'll do A, pass it on to B, and I'll do A and pass it on, the other guy does B, and the other guy does C. So if 3 people are going to do this, it's probably going to take us, say, 3, versus if only I did it and did all the steps from A to Z, it would take me longer.
I agree with you. So for the one you said that the assumptions and all that, it will be shared. So that's the responsibility of the product owner. So the product owner will explain that story, right? Login page. So if the product owner doesn't do it, maybe the business analyst on the team will do it, right? Or someone from the development team. So they'll say, okay, let's look at, for example, we want to create an account now. So for this create an account, the product owner will come, okay, we want to have a sign-off page, right? We want to be able to sign up with our email and password, right? So what we want on that page is that we want the user to be able to create that account, and we want it to show at the top. We want to have a username and password with a maximum character of 10, right? So there should be a field for email, there should be a field for password, right? There should be a check button that will say terms and agreement, right? So they will ask question what the color should look like. Okay, so how should the flow look like, right? So they will discuss it. When they finish discussing it, then they will now say estimate, right? Some people, it will be clear to them. You talked about the people, the skill sets, right? So in this, what they are trying to do here is that they're just trying to look at what effort it will take. But what Fibonacci series helps with that, the skill set is like more harmonized. For someone that doesn't have that skill set, and doesn't understand what needs to be done, the person will just pass, right? But for the people that will estimate, they will estimate it. And if your estimation, if your points is different, so different from each other, then they will now say something like, okay, why did you pick that? So that the person will explain. So, but maybe based on the explanation, others will start reasoning that, oh, okay, we didn't even consider that. Oh, that's true. Okay, they might now want to change their votes, right? Or they will say, oh, someone will say, no, it won't take that long because we have this artifact already. We are going to use this artifact to recreate it and all that. So that it's generate discussion for you to understand what effort and how complex that work might be. Okay? So it's just an estimation. Vinita?
Hi, Florence. Thank you.
Yeah.
So my question is regarding the same thing, saying that, when I chose the number Fibonacci series, I chose 8. Mm-hmm. And I chose based on thinking that, it will take me an 8 days of effort to create a login page, because login page is the most important page. And exactly. I have to look at every practical expect saying that, I have to have a punchline which will attract customer. I should have a login tab. I should have a password tab. And then when customer is entering a wrong password, so it should be directed to somewhere, forget password thing. And then something like, there are a few customers who doesn't want to enter their email. So there should be a page which should, direct them. Okay, just something like, browsing thing. I think yesterday one gentleman was talking about.
Or maybe, that one that they will say, continue with Google. Continue with Google, right? They won't need to write their email. They'll just continue with Google.
Right.
To sign up.
So when I chose 8, I was thinking of 8 days of effort. I'm not sure if my thinking is correct.
No, not 8 days of effort. You are thinking it in relation to home page. So you're saying home page, it doesn't take me a lot of effort. So that should be a 1. But this, I require some time. So it might take me double of the effort or triple of the effort. So it's going to be a 5 for me. Or it might take me more than that. It's going to be 8 for me, right? So imagine you preparing apple to eat, preparing watermelon to eat, and preparing yam to eat, potatoes. Which one would take you more time to get ready? Potatoes, right? So you see potatoes at something like 13 or 8 because it will take you more time to prepare and eat than apple.
Right.
Something like that. So that's how they do their estimation.
Okay.
So when they now say something like 13, if you say something is 13, that means within the 2 weeks, that's what you are going to do throughout. Because the effort is a lot. You are going to commit throughout to it during that sprint, right? Okay. So how you are now going to know, you wanted to convert to days. You will get to know how long it take, right? Because now I'm very familiar with my team. So if someone tells me, this thing is going to take 2 story points, I expect the person to finish in 1 business day. That's my expectation, right? It might be complex. Issues might happen, but that's my expectation because the person is telling me it's a 2, so that means the person will finish on time. If someone tells me it's a 1 story point, I know that within 4 hours, they can finish that task if there is no issue. You understand? So that is how you will know. So Agile doesn't tell you 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. You do it based on effort and complexity. But over time, you will know what that effort means to your team. Even those people that used to do pass that they don't understand, after a while, when they keep estimating with the team, they will understand how it works. They will know what the details of what needs to be done. Then you see them estimating and also collaborating. Okay? Yeah, so it happens over time. But you get to some organization, they've labeled one story point. They'll tell you one story point is 5 hours, 2 story points is 1 day. Those organizations has converted it to days because maybe their leadership are so, even though they are practicing Agile, their leadership still want to see everything in day and in time, right? So they will convert it. But what Fibonacci series or what Agile is saying that we do relative estimation, right? And that's how we do it, using effort and complexity. I hope that is clear. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Thank you so much.
So we'll do one more. Then I've showed you how you can use planning poker to do estimates, and as a Scrum Master, you facilitate it. Okay. So now we want to do create an account page, right? So think of the create an account page. What should be there? In what location it will be? Is it going to have, what field will it be? Right? So all the call to action, what will it be? Okay. So let's estimate for create an account page. Okay, I can see Roland. Okay, let's estimate and, it's just to understand the process, right? This is what happened, right? This is how you estimate. Okay, maybe I should show you a video as well. Maybe it will sync better. Let me see if I have a video estimation. Okay, I'm waiting for everyone to estimate, and I'm trying to see if I have a video and story. Yes. Okay, so let's say everyone has estimated. I'm trying to look for a video so that I can show you as well. Okay, let's flip this. Okay, you can see those that passed. You can see that the story point here is 8. Ella is estimating 21. Ella, can we know why you're estimating 21? You're saying that we should make this an epic? Ella, are you there? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I just want to be sure. Ella, are you there?
I'm here. Hi, Florence.
How are you doing? So why did you estimate 21? You said we should make it an epic. We just like to know your reason.
I guess I mistouched something. I'm using my phone, so that was not what I thought I touched.
Oh, okay. No problem.
Sorry about that. I thought I touched
you don't need to say sorry. It's fine.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a 2.
Okay, 2. Okay. Roland, you said 13. Is there a reason why you picked 13? What are the complexities you're looking at?
Yeah, thank you, Florence. Basically, because this has to do with creating an account, there are more fields to be entered in, and I see there's going to be some complexity around all the data that need to be captured, perhaps where those data will need to be stored. if they needed to create tables to have all those data stored. So yeah, it's in the light of those additional fields and storing those data that made me go for a 13.
Okay. Do you guys agree with that? Do you think that is reasonable? Do you think it might take a lot of effort?
For me, I actually picked the 3 because I made the assumption that there will be like more automations already in place. So it will probably be just a click and go kind of situation.
Oh, okay. So at the team, do you think we have any automation ready? Babs?
Yeah, I think creating an account shouldn't take anything, right? It's just like a very basic web form, right? That's what it's not. It's something that can be finished at half a day, really, for somebody who knows what they are doing, right? The assumption here is that the developers are the ones working on this. Is that correct? So, I mean, it shouldn't take more than really more than, let's just say, it's a one-story point, in my opinion.
Okay, Laura.
Hi, Florence. This is Laura. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. I picked an 8. I guess I was a bit confused with the create an account. I actually thought that was a payment portal.
Oh. Okay.
Yes, because I was thinking it was payment portal, and if it was that, I was thinking about the complexity, and then maybe we might have some dependencies, like, the payment portal. Maybe someone else has to do some certain work. Different teams might have to do certain work, especially maybe if they have to do things like the API and stuff like that. So that might take some time. That's why I made it an 8.
Okay,
Yes.
great. Thank you. So these are the kind of discussion you are going to be having as a team that will now help you to agree on what the complexity and effort that will be required. So Diola, you're asking a question that, so estimation is done during sprint 0, and irrespective of who will be the delegate to do the job, decision and estimate is done, will be agreed by the entire team. Exactly. So this is what we call the high-level estimate. And why we are doing this is to be able to determine what our initial backlog estimate is, right? That's how we are doing it. I said at the beginning that some team will just copy all that point and take it to Jira, right? But some team will estimate because maybe the sponsor wants to know how long it will take them to actually get this done and what will be their release plan. So I will show you how it is done in sprint planning as well, because some people do this during sprint planning, right? So, but the initial backlog estimate, I will show you why we are doing this now in a second. Okay, so let's go there. So I'm going to go back to the moral board. So let's imagine that we've now finished our estimation as a group, as a team, right? So imagine we've done all this estimation, right? So let's say login, after all our deliberation, we agreed for a 5, right? After all our deliberation as a team, right? And all our deliberation for a team, we agreed 8. So I need people to come in here and estimate all the things we have here. Just put something, right? Just put something, but imagine that we've completed it, right? So just put something here to show that we've estimated everything. So you can copy my circle and put numbers in each of those stuff. Okay, so come in and put numbers on all the stories. So copy the circle and just estimate something, okay? So that we can move forward. So let's imagine that we finish estimating as a team. So copy just to make it faster. So that's why I want you guys to come in to help. So all this stuff will be estimated together as a team, right? During all your collaboration, you are estimating together as a team. So that's what we're doing now. So imagine that we've done planning poker and we're done with the estimation. So you click on the circle, do copy, and you go paste it on something that is nothing is on it, okay? Okay, I think we are almost done. Okay, thank you everyone. Let's take a break so that it can be clear to everyone. I saw some design. Some people did the black design. No problem. Okay, okay. So you can take a break now. You can take a break so I can continue. Okay, so imagine now we've done planning poker. So we've done planning poker. We have now estimated all our stories, right? So what we now want to do is we want to know what our initial backlog estimate is. So now I'm going to have something here so that I can use that, okay? Okay, let's take a break. Initial backlog estimates. Initial backlog estimates. Okay, so how do you get your initial backlog estimate? So how you get your initial backlog estimate is that you are going to take a total of what you have on the screen. Hello, is someone trying to, let me open my chat so I can see. So to get your initial estimate, right, you're going to add what we have here. All the stuff we've estimated here, we're going to put everything together. So if we total everything here, the 1 plus 5 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8. Is someone speaking? Do you have a question? Okay, so all the visitors, it's okay, it's okay. So that it's easier for us to, okay, so the initial backlog is we're going to total everything we have here. The 8, the 5, the 6, the 7, everything. So we are trying to total everything together to say, this is the total of what we have, right? So now you're going to total everything. So let's imagine that we've totaled everything together. So our backlog, let's imagine what the story point is. So let's say I've done the total of this backlog and we have 300 story points, right? So let's say that what we have here is 300 story points, right? That we have here in total. So you get what I'm saying, right? You are adding everything, 1 plus 5 plus 8 plus 3 plus 13 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 5 plus 7 plus. I don't want us to waste time and be adding it. But imagine you added everything together. You are now getting 30 story points. So that is your initial backlog estimate, right? So now let's say that how many people do you have on your team? How many people are going to be working on this project? So let's say you have a team, a development team of 8 people, right? So you have a development team of 8 people, but your initial backlog is 300, right? So what you are now going to do for those 8 people is that you want to know what their initial velocity is. initial velocity, right? Because you know that you cannot get the accurate velocity because the team has not even started working, right? This is their first work, right? So this initial velocity will now be based on their allocation, right? And how many story points can they complete? So someone will tell you, I'm just 50% allocated to this project, right? So you will now do an initial velocity that, okay, if you are just 50% allocated to this project, that means you're half a day allocated to this project, right? So maybe on a sprint, you cannot do more than 5 story points, right? For each individual, we're saying they cannot do more than 5, right? So this is just your initial velocity. It doesn't mean that it will be good. It doesn't mean that it will be bad. When they do their first sprint, their second sprint, their third sprint, you now take the average to now determine what the velocity of your team would look like. So what the initial velocity we are doing is that we are estimating it to say that each of the team members will be able to do at least 5 story points, right? So if you say that they are able to do at least 5 story points, some people will do initial velocity and they will say each member of the team can do 2 story points. So the minimum points, they will say 2, they can do 2 at least, right? So within 2 weeks, they can do 2 story points. So let's use that for example, that at least you should be able to do at least 2 story points, right? So for initial velocity of the team, what would the initial velocity be if they can do only 2 story points? If
16.
we have, what did you say now, Laura?
16.
Exactly. How did you get your 16?
Because we have 8 people on the team.
Great job. Great job. So Laura has given us our answer, right? So that's how you determine your initial velocity. So you're saying that the team can only do 2 story points and you have 8 people on the team. So our initial velocity will be 16. So 16 story points is our initial velocity. So what will now be our estimated sprints, right, to complete the backlog, right? So our estimated sprints will now be 300, right, divided, right, by 16. Do you know how we got that, right? The story points we have is 300, but we did our initial velocity to be 16, right? Remember that we have 8 people and we have agreed that our cadence is going to be 2 weeks. Because you have to agree on your cadence. So you are saying that your one sprint is going to be 2 weeks long, right? So if we agree as a team that your one sprint is 2 weeks long, and you're saying that within that sprint, within that 1 week cadence, within that one sprint you agreed, within that sprint, one sprint is 2 weeks for you as a team. You are not saying that each of these people, each of the development team member, they can only do 2 story points. So within one sprint, you've estimated their initial velocity to be 2 story points, right? That 2 story points, you now multiplied it by the number of people, right? Which is 16. So you're saying that initial velocity for your team is 16. Right? And within 2 weeks, they can only accommodate, they can finish 16 story points. And your backlog is 300 story points. So if I divide 300 by 16, what would that be? $300 divided by 16.
18.
18.75. That's approximately 19 sprints.
Good. 18.75, approximately 19 sprints, right? So we are saying that for us to finish all this work you are seeing on the board, it will take us 19 sprints to finish that work, right? 19 sprints, right? So now if your stakeholder is asking you, your sponsor is asking you that, how long will it take you to finish all this work you've documented? You will now say it will take us 19 sprints, right? It will not tell you, oh, I want that in weeks. That will be what in weeks? So if you tell your stakeholder that it will take you...
Is that going to be like 10 about 10, said 19 sprints, right? So and you have 2 sprints, 2 weeks for each sprint, right? So definitely that will obviously mean that it will take us just about 10 weeks, right?
No.
About 36. It should be like 38 weeks.
Exactly.
I was gonna
you know that one sprint is 2 weeks, and you have 19 sprints.
Correct. So that will take us 38 weeks. Yeah. So my question is, where's the buffer though?
The buffer. Remember that even when you are telling your stakeholder, you are telling them that it will take us 38 weeks. It doesn't mean that it will take you 38 weeks. Because what we do is estimation, relative estimation. So you are telling your stakeholder, your sponsor, that it will take us about 38 weeks, right? We don't know what the complexity and effort or the or issues we might face along the way. But if we want to finish what we have here, we are estimating 38 weeks, right? They don't do buffer here because things change. That's why it is agile, right? So, but some stakeholder wants to know what it will take you from the beginning. So you are doing this to be able to give them an idea of what it will take. But as you're going along, things will change. Even stakeholder will change requirements. Even users that are going to use your application will change requirements. So the stakeholder will not say 38 weeks. I can't wait for 38 weeks. What can we do, right? What can we do? I want this product to be out. You want the product to be out, we have to discuss the MVP. What is the minimal viable product? What is it that we can send out that people can start using, right? We can start getting feedback, right? And we can now be doing incremental updates. We don't have to wait to finish all this work like the normal project management way. We want to be agile in nature. So what is the MVP? Right? So when we now start talking about MVP as a team, then we'll now start planning, right? So what is the thing that we must have for this application to go out? So we'll now start looking at our story card. We must have home page is key. Login page is key. Create an account is key. We must have that, right? If we go to browse, what are the things we need to have? I know contact us will be very key. We need to have contact us, right? That will be very key. We can deal with search word later. Access to free music. Maybe we can do that in another later. That's not very important. For browse, maybe we want them to be able to browse title track and album. But every other thing, we do it later. For playlists, maybe we want them to be able to share lists, create playlists, delete. Post-trial music, that will be later. We are coming here. We want them to be able to do add to cart, delete from cart, check out, cancel order, right? So all this one will be in our first release, right? Interact, maybe later. Oh, ETF funds, maybe we should do that in release 3. Or no, just put it in the backlog. E-wallets, just put it in the backlog. Okay, maybe for release 1, let's do debit card, credit card, and PayPal, at least. For Bitcoin, or maybe we'll do Interact in release 2, right? Let's move it to release 2. Web app, yes. Websites, no, let's leave that in the backlog for now, okay? Mobile iOS, let's leave that there. So there will be a discussion within the team, right? So maybe, for example, the product owner is saying, oh, let's do mobile customization. The developers will say, no, we can't do that first because we have to be able to build the app first before we start talking about the customization of the app. So based on those interactions, they'll say, okay, mobile customization should go to release 2. Let's first deal with the web app first, right, in release 1. Then they will look at rating. They'll say, for the first release, don't let us deal with rating. Move everything that has to do with rating to release 2, right? Let's move everything that has to do with rating to release 2. Refer a friend, coupon loyalty. No, we first want them to be able to use the app. So all these things, let's move them to the backlog. Let's move them to the backlog. We don't need to do them now. We just want our app to be usable. Let it go out first, right? Okay, we want them to be able to share. Want them to be able to share artists, share as members. Okay, we'll do all that in release 1, our MVP. For delivery, we'll focus on delivery in release 2. We can't do delivery right now. Let's focus on that in release 2. Post-trial videos will be release 2. Let's move upload to release 2, right? So you now look at it that, okay, for our product to actually work, someone is here, so I can't pick this one. For our product to actually work, we would decide, we'll say that these are what we want to do in release 1, right? Every other thing below this line, we'll do in release 2. So as a team, after the discussion, the collaboration, you even go to the stakeholder, to the sponsor to let them know that, okay, these are the things that the sponsor can say, okay, let's even remove loyalty card. We can do loyalty card in release 2. Someone say, no, let's refer a friend because we need that now, right? We need them to be able to refer more people as they are checking needs and all that, right? So we now say, okay, these are our release 1 item. Then as a team, we will now agree and say, this year, sorry, my screen is hanging. I just want to refresh. Okay, so we now say this is our release 1 item. Release 1 item, right? Which is our MVP, which is our minimal viable product. So we are saying that for this one's year, we'll do that as release 2. So this will be our release 2. And this will just be our backlog. Some people will even call it release 3. But the truth is that because when you finish your release 1 and release that product to the public, things will change. People will give you feedback. So as you are getting those feedback, you are adding it to your backlog, right? And you are refining the process. So what we are doing here is you did your initial estimation. Now you determine what your release will look like because you cannot wait till 38 weeks for you to finish all this, right? So you're saying that the first item are the things we are going to focus on. So let's now say that by the time we did all this, we've done the prioritization, right? We've determined what our release 1 is. So if you now calculate this 8, 5, 1, 3, 8, 13, 6, let's do the total, right? The total is now what we call your release 1 estimate, right? So let's say our release 1 is now 80 story points, right? Our release 1 is now 80 story points because we've determined, we've moved all the other story to either release 2 or to our backlog. So we've done only with prioritization. That's what we call backlog prioritization. We've prioritized our backlog. We've refined it that these are the things we want to do for release 1. So now, when we now added up release 1, we have 80 story points, right? So we now want to know when we are going to be able to release our product out. We already agreed that our cadence is 2 weeks, and we said our initial velocity for the team is 16 story points. Now our release 1 is saying 80 story points. So for you to get your release 1 date, it will now be 80 divided by 16, right? And that will give you what?
5 sprints, I think.
5? 80 divided by 16.
5.
So that will give you 5 sprints, right?
Yes.
So now for your release 1, for what you call the MVP, you are going to be releasing it in 5 sprints, which is that will be in how many weeks? Because your agreed cadence is 2 weeks, right?
10
for
weeks,
1
right?
sprint.
10 weeks.
10 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So we are going to have our release 1 in 10 weeks, right? So that's what we are estimating, right, for us to have our release 1 in 10 weeks. So you can now tell the stakeholder that if everything goes according to plan, according to our thinking, according to our discussion, we'll be having our release 1 in 10 weeks. Right? So the stakeholder will now agree, the sponsor will say, okay, 10 weeks is good enough. We're going to be having our MVP in 10 weeks. But even though your MVP is in 10 weeks, you are going to have 5 sprints. That means you'll have done sprint 1, you'll have done sprint 2, you'll have done sprint 3, you'll have done sprint 4, you'll have done sprint 5. So what happens is that when you finish sprint 1, your potential increments, you will save it, right? You do sprint 2, you add that increment to what you achieve in sprint 1. You do sprint 3, you add that increment to what you achieve in sprint 2 and sprint 1. You do sprint 4, you add that achievement to what you've done in sprint 1, 2, 3. You now do sprint 5. At that point, you add all the achievements together. You're not saying this is good enough. Let's do a production release. You now do a production release and we'll call it release 1. Then you release it to production, right? So when you are done with that, with release to production, you continue sprint 6, sprint 7, but now you are planning for release 2, right? You also now prioritize again what you want to do for release 2. You prioritize your backlog again. You might now come here and say, oh, no, we don't want to do this now. You move it again. Or you now say, oh, we want to do website now. You move it forward, right? When you agree, you'll be able to estimate what your release 2 will be. But in some organization, after that release 1 has been delivered, they will now say that we want to be releasing every month. Some will say we want to release quarterly. Every quarter will be releasing. But that first MVP is very important because you cannot release a product that is not usable, right? It must be, that's why they call it the minimal viable product. That means the minimal thing that you can put out there for people to be able to use, right? So because if you say home page alone, is it not used there? People can't use home page now. They will just go to home page, and they can't do anything. So it's not a minimal. So minimal viable product is what they can use, even if it's just for them to listen to music. That's a minimal viable product. Later, you cannot say they should have the ability to share. Later, you cannot say you should have ability to upload, right? But at least something that they can use, that the users can use, is what we call the minimal viable product. And this is how you calculate it if you have a sponsor that really wants you to know. This is very difficult. This backlog refinements, grooming, is difficult in terms of the developers can get tired, right? Because they have to estimate everything they have before they can give this estimate. So some organizations, they don't even do it because if the sponsor understands that we are doing Agile here, we might not need to do everything at that point in time. But when all this has been documented, the team and the stakeholder, the sponsor has agreed that our release 1 will be around 10-week estimation, around 5 sprints. We are going to have something there into the public. Then everyone will now say, okay, we've agreed and all that. You know, the stakeholder can say, oh, 5 sprints is too much. I want something out there in 3 weeks. We'll come back again and look at what we can remove to the backlog. What are the things we can do, the ones we can't do? We'll just try to look at around and say, okay, do you want us to re-estimate this? Do you think we can do it? Then if everything is agreed and the sponsor is good, then you now say, hooray, we are done. Now we can actually start our sprint. So you now do something like a kickoff where you will present the products that you want to work on, right? You talk about the cadence you want to do. You tell the stakeholders and the sponsor that you will need their support. You want them to come for sprint review, where they will come and be reviewing the work that has been done for the last 2 weeks, right? So you talk about all those things. You talk about the tools you are going to be using, that we're going to be using Jira to track our work. We're going to be using Confluence as one of our, to store our artifacts. You tell them that you give them access, you know. After you do all that kickoff, then you can now start you can now say you want to start your sprint, right? Now, so for you to now start that sprint 1, you're going to start with something we call backlog refinement. So backlog refinement for sprint 1, that's what you want to do. So imagine now you have all these things, then I can move all this to my backlog in Jira. So now I will show you Jira. But before we go to Jira, now you know that we have all our stories. We don't have the detailed stories, but we have all this, right? I will now show you how some team will put this in Jira, and then they will now start refining from Jira. Okay?
I have a question, Florence.
Okay, Tini, go ahead.
2 questions, actually. One, during the refinement process or the backlog prioritization process, in a bid to say fast track the launch of our MVP, could we also say pull resources from other teams just so that we can increase the team's capacity? So remember we had said initially that some people might have just 50% commitment to the project.
Yeah.
If we, for example, take off stuff from their plate and increase their capacity to say 75 or 100, we can also, that's an option, you know, as a way to fast track our go-to-market, right?
Yes, that's a very good one, Chini. That's an option as well. So if the stakeholder is saying that we cannot reduce what we want to do, right? All these things I want it to be in the minimal viable product. They might say, oh, let's add more resources or let's increase the capacity of the team. Maybe someone that is supposed to be 50%, you now say, okay, you're not fully dedicated to this project. In the first place, if you don't have 70% of your team dedicated to that project, forget you are not doing Scrum, because it will be very difficult for you to call them into meeting. See how long it's taking us to do estimation. Can you call someone into meeting for that long if they have other things to do? It will be difficult, right? So you need at least 60 to 70% of your team dedicated, right? So that when you call for meetings and all that, they can show up, right? And you too, you don't schedule all the meeting for long. You don't do 4 hours, 3 hours. No, break it down, right? That's why they said that Sprint Zero can take up to 2 weeks sometimes. You break it down to be easier for the team, right? But if the team is already in existence, they already have their timing for refinement, for sprint planning. Only if they are not doing it well, then you now want to make it better. Okay? So based on what we did, okay, yeah. Hope that is clear, Chini.
Yes, it is. I have another question, though. I said to.
Okay.
So the other question would be, so when we do these releases, and I would ask this for both a service and a product. Would it be right to say that for a service, you can have like versions 1, 2, 3, 4? So, for example, a software, you know, BlackBerry releases version 1, version 2, or version 1.1. They ask you to upgrade to version whatever, or Windows. The product name doesn't change because it is service. However, for a physical product, let's say an iPhone now, by the time we add, we've done our first release and it's say iPhone 6. Then the next one comes out, it would then change the product name and then it becomes say a 7 and it keeps changing like that with every upgrade up until what do we have now, 13 in the market. Is that how it works? So product names change with actual products, but with services, the product name remains the same.
So how did the product name change?
So, and it's a question, I'm not sure, I'm asking, would I be wrong to say that, or to assume that with actual products, will the names change when those releases happen in the future?
They use that to represent the release. So iPhone 7 is a release. So Windows 10 is a release, right? Windows 11 is another release. Do you get what I'm saying?
Oh, okay.
Windows 7 is another release. Windows 8 is another release, right? So they have Windows 7 before, right? They got feedback, they added more stuff, they created Windows 8, right? When they finished developing Windows 8, they added more stuff, they did more research, they collected user feedback, then they created Windows 10. Right? Now they finished, we've been using Windows 10. Now they are saying, oh, they fixed some bugs, they did this, they added more styles, they added Cortana, they added that, and now they've created Windows 11 and they're begging us to download Windows 11. Right? So they use those names to represent the releases. It's not like the product has changed. It's still a Windows product, Windows Explorer, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Okay, I'm trying to, let me stop sharing and share here. This one is hanging, I don't know. So I'm opening another one on another Explorer. When we finish this class, I'm going to restart my system. I think I've not restarted it for 2 days and it's affecting me. Okay, so this was our initial planning. So right now, we've completed, we talked about the environmental infrastructure readiness, right? And we talked about the initial product backlog building. That was what we've been doing since. We're building our backlog, right? So we did our backlog. We estimated our backlog in relation to stories, and we used planning poker to do that, right? We determined our initial velocity as a team, right? Remember when we said our initial velocity is 16? That's what we're going to use to start our, product building, right? We also agreed on our cadence, right? We said our cadence for this project is going to be 2 weeks for our sprints, right? You can have different cadence. You can have a 1 week cadence, you can have a 2 weeks cadence, you can have a 3 weeks, and you can have a 4 weeks. But we agreed that we'll do 2 weeks. We also determined what our MVP is, right? What's going to be our release 1, right? We determined that as well. We also determined our release plan, right? So what will be our plan? We said that we're going to do 5 sprints, right? Which is going to be 10 weeks, right? One thing we didn't do is what will be our definition of done. So for each of these sprints, what are we going to say is our definition of done, right? So are we going to say that, so one of the things we can say for our definition of done is we can say testing, QA testing must be completed for each stories, right? You can say user acceptance testing must be completed by the product owner, right? By the PO. We say we work must be demoed, right? Demoed we must demo finalized work to stakeholder for acceptance. So this is our definition of done, right? So our definition of done for our sprints. So for you to say that you are actually done with that story, right? You have to complete this definition of done. You have to complete this checklist to say, yes, you're actually done, right? So for each of the story, they'll make sure that everything is checked, right? I can even show you how you can use this as a check in your Jira board, how you can use it to create columns in your Jira board. I'll show you, okay? So you complete that. So now we've completed all this definition of done. We understand release planning, right? By doing your prioritization to determine how many sprints it might take you. We know how to determine our MVP, what we need to for the users to be able to use, right? We agreed on the cadence, initial velocity as a team, initial backlog, and you understand what environmental infrastructure readiness risks, dependency, and assumptions are. And you need to finish that because that might be an impediment for you to actually start your work. So you want to make sure it's done, right? If it's not done, you want to ensure that, okay, how can we speed it up? How can we remove that impediment? Okay, I'll play a video on this for you, on how to do all these non-functional requirements. You want to make sure everything is in place before you actually, start working, right? And then after all this is done and the sponsor has agreed, you do your kickoff, then you can now be planning to start your sprint. Okay, so now let's imagine that we've done all this. We now want to start our sprint. So we need to start with our backlog refinement. But before we start with the backlog refinements, I'll have to show you Jira because we have to move all our stories to Jira. Okay, but before we do that, I want you to watch the video on how the team, is coming together to discuss the all those environmental, infrastructure, non-functional requirements, and all that. So the video is 11 minutes long, but I think you watch some minutes. I think what the part that they had to go and call a resource that is not part of the team because they needed that resource, to be able to achieve some of those things. Then Chini said, how long does this computer game take in real life? That's the planning poker, right? It depends, it can take long. So if you are just estimating just for sprint planning, which I will show you, so your sprint planning might be, maybe you're just estimating for what you want to do in 2 weeks. It might not take that long. But if your stakeholder wants to know how long to take in total, you might need to do some meetings to actually be able to do that estimation to plan your roadmap. So it might take long. It might take about, if you have a committed team, it might take you about 3 days, 4 days. But you go back, come back, you might even have some personal discussions with people before you now come together as a group, so it might take up to that 4 or 5 days if you are dedicated to it. Okay?
Thank you.
Yeah. So I'm going to publish. What am I showing now? I'm going to save that already. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing this so I can play the video. Then we'll now go to Jira. We'll start with Jira. We will not finish. We'll start there and we'll continue tomorrow because I will need you to help me come up with some user stories. I have some, but if you can come up with some as well, just to put in our backlog, that would be good. Then tomorrow we'll do sprints 1, sprint planning, right? I'll show you how sprint planning is done. Then we do the daily Scrum. And if we don't have time, we'll finish, but I'm sure we can finish this tomorrow, okay? I don't think I'm sharing sound. 1 second. Share sound.
Okay, guys, are we ready to do some non-functional stories?
Absolutely.
Okay, do we have everybody here? Anybody we're missing?
I think we're probably going to need somebody from the security team to come here. So would you be able to contact Joel, see if he's available for a quick call?
It'd be my honor. Okay. I will go fetch him right now. Do you want to start on the stories?
We'll go ahead and
okay, I'll be right back, guys.
Okay, so we all know kind of what the project overview is and what some of the stories we have out there. So one of the key things we need to be able to do is they mentioned 24/7 access. So we should probably talk about infrastructure first. So what do we have? What do we need? What are some of the stories around as far as high availability as far as we need to be able to address in this from the non-functional user stories?
Well, if it's going to be a website, so it's going to be web-based, so they can access it from anywhere, we're going to need to set up the server farm and make sure that's available. I don't think we have that in place today. So
load balancing.
Right. So high availability, load balance front end. We're also going to talk about the setting this up in kind of an internet-facing zone scenario, right? Because it's going to be external facing, so we're going to need to allow our agents to connect to it. So we should definitely look at some of the security around that. I know Joel should be here shortly to talk about some of those things. Okay, so let's talk about performance. What things do we need to look at from a performance standpoint?
We need to make sure we've got it load tested for the right number of users.
Right, so we should talk about stress testing. So you got stories around that. Also, let's talk about encryption. So from a security standpoint, that was one of the things we talked about. So we can talk about as far as what type of security do we want to have, what type of encryption do we want to have on this particular application.
Did I hear security? I just found Joel.
Okay.
He has to go to a meeting. Come on in, Joel. You know the team, right? You know everybody here?
Yes.
Okay,
So,
ask away.
Joel, we have a question for you. So we're setting up a new agent portal, which is going to be exposed on the internet, right, in our internet-facing zone. And so there's going to be a new environment. We need to know from you what is kind of the turnaround time for you guys to set up that environment externally facing.
I think about a couple months.
Couple months, okay. So we're definitely need to put that down as an impediment to this project because that's going to hold us up from getting that code deployed out there in a timely fashion.
Yeah, some we'll definitely need to work on first.
Yeah,
make sure that's done in time.
Okay. All right, very good. Okay. Thanks, Joel. I appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Joel. So we're going to have to talk to the resource manager,
Yes.
see how we can address this
speed that up.
impediment.
you got to make sure a high available cluster there also.
Right. So we should be able to utilize our existing cluster we have in place. So should we have any stories around needing to do any spikes or load testing against that?
Well, I think the one thing we need to figure out is what kind of storage capacity are we going to need? How many claims are we going to be having a month or a year, so we can kind of size it out and make sure we have enough growth capacity there.
Right. So that's a great story. You want to get that one?
Okay. We might even need to address the DR facility for that, because we need to do the backup and restore and make sure it's always high available.
Okay, so what are the things you noticed from that short video you watched? At least tell me about 3 things you noticed. Okay, who can tell me? 3 things you noticed.
They were estimating.
Yes, they were estimating. They were talking about the non-functional stories.
They were
what
talking
else?
about security.
Yeah. Roland, good one too. Scrum Master was available to remove impediments. Erica said they were all standing. Those people that need to get the job done are standing. Did you notice that the product owner and the business analyst, they are just sitting down because maybe they have no idea. You get what I'm saying? You can see the technical team that is having that discussion. Sonny.
Exactly. Or the technical team, like the dev team.
Yeah, exactly. You can see the rest, the product owner, they are just sitting. But the Scrum Master is still with the team, right? Because she has to listen, she has to help them remove impediments, right? And did you hear that part? She said that, oh, this is going to take long and it's going to affect us. We can't even do anything until that is sorted out. That means, and the security guy was saying that we need more time. And she said, oh, we might need to discuss resources, capacity, right? We might need to talk to the resource manager, right? So
Florence, in other words, user story point estimation is actually done more by the developers. Hello?
We can hear you now. You were singing before.
Yeah, I've actually been on and off. Sorry, my network is a bit unstable today. Okay, I was saying, so in other words, user story point estimation is actually done more by the developers because they're actually the one doing this work and building this thing, so they know.
They are the one coding, they are the one doing the front end and all that. But if it's the story that you can also estimate, you estimate. But most times the BA will sit out, the product owner doesn't even estimate. Yeah, it's not even your responsibility to estimate as the product owner. The development team is going to estimate. The testers, the developers, the coders, right? The product owner is even the one that will say, can't you, is it going to take you that long? Is it that complex? Because they just want it done, right? So,
yeah, but of course, we all need to have a general idea of what they are doing or know it as well. Yes.
Exactly.
Okay.
Any other thing? Okay.
Florence, one more thing. I noticed that the Scrum Master actually started up the conversation, and then at the point that she realized they needed an external resource, she handed over to someone else. So just being able to also maybe know when to delegate.
Yeah. Because she needed to leave the team, right? You see they will say, oh, the Scrum Master is not here and we can't do anything. No, they can do anything. You just say, oh, can you continue doing this? Let me go check up on this, or let me go make this call, right? So you have to picture your team. You prep them up to be high performing. You don't have to always be there, right? Because she might have gone to that security team and they're asking her questions and she's taking longer to come, right? The team needs to continue working on, right? So yeah, that was a good note. Okay. So let's go to Jira now. So now you finish your initial backlog. Now you want to start your project, right? So I'm going to go to Jira. So today what I'm going to do is show you Jira, show you what the platform looks like, show you how to, let me see what the time is. We have only 10 minutes, so I'm not going to do much so that we start afresh from tomorrow. So this is what the Jira platform looks like, right? You can also create a project in Jira, right? You can view your project that you already have in existence, right? So this was the project that I connected to our conference when we're starting our conference. And that's why all the stories here showed up on conference. All the stories that I have in the backlog here, okay? So now we're gonna let's create our own new project. So this is how you create a project, right? It's going to ask you that, do you want to create a Kanban project or a Scrum project, right? You know, I've told you the difference between Kanban and Scrum, right? So if you understand the kind of team you're going to be managing, you are going to now use that to determine, right, that you want to create a Kanban project or you want to create a Scrum project. So let's imagine that we are creating a Scrum project because we're going to have a Scrum team. We agree that our cadence will be 2 weeks. At least we have 70% of the team dedicated to the project. So we create a Scrum project, right? So it's asking us that, do we want to use this template? So yeah, we can use that template. So it's asking us that, is our project going to be a team managed project or a company managed project? So this is going to be a team managed project. So you select, then you add your project details. So let's add Flecky app, Flecky music app, right? So now it's going to give us a key, FMA. So when we are creating our stories, you'll be saying FMA as the key, right? Scrum. Next. So it's saying that, do we want to add tools? Like, do we want to create a space? We don't need to create a space anymore because we already have a space. So I'm going to skip. Let me see if I can add. No, it's asking us GitHub. GitHub is used for coding, like to store their codes, right? So it's asking that you want to. Most time I don't add all this. If we need it, if the team wants to add it, they will add it themselves. The developers will add it. But your role is just to ensure that you create that as a team. You just want to ensure that you create the Jira board for them, right? Okay, so go to project. So I created a new space just to show you that when you create your project, your Jira board, you can create a space for it as well. So anytime you go here, you can switch to Confluence and click on the space you've created for your project, right? So this is what your space will look like when you first create your project. So this is just like a board that shows the work you're doing, right? Your to-do work, in progress work, your done work, right? You can create more columns, right? By adding to your workflow. So you can create a column and call it testing, because maybe our definition of done said we must have testing, right? So you are creating this so that everything must happen, right? Our board also, our definition of done also said that we must have UAT testing, right? So maybe this one, we call it QA testing, right? UAT testing, right? You can also have another column, because you know your team can have issues, right, during the sprint, and maybe there is no more to do. They've already started working in it, is in progress, but they are not progressing, right? So you can create something on your flow to call a blocker. So if you get to an organization and you cannot do all these things, that means it is controlled by the organization's admin. And if you want to do this, you will request you have to request for the organization admin, Jira admin, that you want to simplify your workflow. Then they will give you access to be able to do that. But in some organization, you don't need an organization managed admin. So you'll be able to do it on the team level. So you create those blockers, but you know that you don't done is the last thing you want to have. So you move done, right? Because done means that we have done with everything, right? But you want to put maybe blocker near in progress, something like this, right? Or you can say, no, before you can even see blocker, it should be here. Like when you move an item from to do, you move it to in progress. If there's a blocker, you move it to blocker. But if it's done, you move it to QA testing, right? So I've used this workflow to make sure that our definition of done has been it's now in our workflow, right? So that there is no way you will move a story from in progress to done. What happened? Are we not testing? Has the product owner accepted it? How did it get to done, right? So that's what we did here, right? So this is what our board looks like. So now if I go back to our backlog, you can see that our backlog is empty, right? This is what your backlog will look like. It will be empty. So now we'll start creating our card. Remember those are our card. We have the home, right? But what we want to do first is you might want to create your epic, right? You can do it in different ways, right? So you might want to create epic. So you can see what I came to epic, right? I opened the epic panel, right? So now I'm going to create epics. You remember what our epics were? Browser was one of our epic. We had another epic. We called it what? Register. We had another one. We called it playlists. Yeah. We had another epic. What did we call it?
Purchase.
Payment. Exactly. You guys are following.
I think we had a payment epic.
Payment.
We had a payment epic for purchase.
Okay. We had so maybe we should just stop there, right? I think we had one for platform. Let's just stop here. So these are our epic. Now we'll now take the browser. We'll now add issues here. So you can come here and look at your browser. You just come to your backlog and start adding all the issues. So we had one that we called home, right? We had another one we called it
login.
We had another one we called it, sorry, if you don't enter, it won't come. You have another one we called it, let's just say register.
Create an account.
Create an account, yeah. Your head is working. Create an account, right? So we had all this, right? So now, let's say these are all, we'll still add everything. So, but look at, this is our stories. But remember these stories, they are under the, which epic? Was it under register or browser? Can you remember? Let's check.
Browser.
Sorry, Florence, this browser or browse?
I think it's browse.
Browse.
Okay, so we have browse, but we have the home login, create account under register. Okay, so I'm going to first change this to browse. So, hold on. View details. So I'm changing it to browse. Updates. Done. So I've updated that. So now we have our epics, right? I want to remove the color. So these are all our epics. But remember these stories that we created, they are under register. So what I do is I just move it this way, like this. I don't know if you know what I did. So I move them to register, right? So you can see the stories are under register. Did you see that?
Florence.
Uh-huh.
So for issues here, so issues are basically stories.
Yes. Okay. So your issue can be a story, it can be a task, and it can be a bug. So, you know, we are creating stories now. If a QA have finished working and they see a bug, they will create a bug. We change it to a bug. You get?
Okay.
You see now, so it will change to a bug. We are still going to do all that, right? So what we're just doing now is creating the stories, right? Home page, login, create account. So let's look at another story just to show you again. Title track, contact us, album. So I'm creating more stories. I'll call it title track. Enter. I'll call it album contact us. Album contact us. Okay, so we've created stories, right? Remember that time when I was going to register, I carried them to, like I pulled them to register, right? Another way you can do it is you can open this title track, this story. It will open on the side. So when you have it opened, can let me open it properly so that we can see it. So if you click on it to open, right, you can decide that, okay, this is it, and I want to link it to an epic, right? So this is title story, right? It's telling me to add epic, right? So I know that title story is under browse, so I'll put it on browse, right? So you can do that as well, right? So instead of you to just I drag it because I feel it's easier, right? But you can click on it this way and come to this side here. You see add epic, then you now put it in the epic it belongs. It belongs to the browse epic, right? The last one too, it belongs to the browse epic, right? So now we have all our stories in the backlog, right? So if you want to see them on the roadmap, you will also see them on the roadmap. If you come to your backlog, you'll see all your stories on the backlog, but you can see that it's telling you which epic they belong to, right? You can see that the home is on the register epic, login register, create account register, browse, title, and all that, right? In some organization, right, they will not write the home like this. Even though they have all their story card, they will not create an issue, but they will have to write a story, right? So they will have something like this. I'm going to stop here because it's 9 o'clock already. Then we'll continue tomorrow. You can see login, right? This is login, right? So some organization will now pick this. They will have to write the story out, right? They will write the story out like this. I'll just give an example. We'll start here tomorrow. So this login, they will, there is a login here, right? They will open it up. Under description, they will now put the user story here. Under this description, they will put the user story. They will call it description. Then after that, they will write the acceptance criteria. Acceptance criteria, right? They will write the acceptance criteria. They will list everything. So this acceptance criteria, let's say we have this acceptance criteria, they will list everything, right? They will work on it. That's what they are doing in refinement, right? They are listing all these things they want to work on, right? They will write all the details, right? They will do that. Then if there are other tasks they want to add, right? Let me first save this. So this login alone can have smaller tasks. They will write all those details. I don't want to rush it, so we'll continue from here tomorrow. So what you can do to make this thing more interesting is you can go to the morale board and take each of this story, and what I will want for you is to write a user story on it. You can, so don't take too much. Let's just focus on register, browse, and playlist. Take share playlist, right? As a music enthusiasm, I would like to share my playlist, right? So that I can enjoy music with my friends and family. Then you write what the acceptance criteria should be, right? Just write it. Normally, you should do it together as a team. We write stories together as a team. Sometimes the product owner and the business analyst will write that story, right? And they will now share it with the team for review, right? During refinement, right? To make things easier, they will first do that story. Sometimes the development team too will do, depending on their capacity, right? Then they will put it together. So tomorrow we'll look at adding stories. I will teach you more about Epic and how to add those estimations, story estimations, right? We'll do that. Then We'll continue from there. When we finish our refinement, then we'll now do our sprint planning. Then we'll do daily Scrum, then sprint review and retrospective. Okay? And how to undo conflicts. So that the things will work on. Okay? Okay, Erica, I said platform compliance. We'll add all that, okay? We'll add all that tomorrow. So who wants to try and work on this? I need like 3 volunteers. 3 volunteers to, based on what we've done now, you will add all these remaining epic, you add all these stories, and you drag them to the epic they belong to. Or can I have 6 people? Let me see, hold on. We've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, let's say 7. We have browse 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Do we have 6 people? If you are interested, I will add you to this board, and you take from this mural and you add those stories, right, to the board and drag them to the right epic. Okay, so let me know if you are interested, and I'll add you to this board to do that. Okay, before we come to class tomorrow. Okay.
I volunteer.
Who is volunteering?
Okay.
Chini. Okay,
Yes.
I have Chini, I have Erica, I have Roland. Okay. Timmy. Okay, so I will need your emails. Okay, so I can add it to the board. And I'll do that. Okay, do you want me to show you how I add people to the board? If you want to add people to the board, you have to invite Timmy, right? Collaborate with you. So I'm going to enter your emails here, and I will invite you, then you accept it. Okay. So no, my chatbot is chat is hanging. I can't even pick your emails. I have to type it EK2. Oh.
EK.
Okay. EK.
The number 2. K.
What?
The letter K again.
K.
14. So 14. 1 4. Yeah. At gmail.com.
Okay. So this is you.
Yeah.
Right? Femi. Oh, look. Femi, please, what's your destiny? I can't open my chat. Sorry. It's hanging. That's why I'm doing this. Temi. I think Temi is on mute. Or someone can
I'll
get
go. CHI. Double NY. MEG.
MEG.
Yeah. G as in girl.
Okay, MEG.
Yes. At
gmail.com.
Yes.
At gmail.com. Okay. Why is it showing me at gmail.com? Okay, at gmail.com. I think I can see Elazone, EECIMABE at gmail.com. I hope I got that. Then I think I saw Roland.charity. Is it at gmail.com? Okay, I'm going to send to the 4 of you first. Let me see if you get the email, just to be sure that you're part of the board. Then I'm going to add 2 people more. Then we go from there. I'm just adding the ones I could see on my board. I'm sorry. I know some people have already showed that they were.
Yes, I got the invite.
You got the invite. Okay, let me just add one more. I'm just adding the people I can see. So sorry. Don't worry. You still get a chance to do this. Okay. I can see K. iroki002@gmail.com. Okay, let's add one more person. The last person, Yemi Ogun Sunday at gmail.com. You know, in your organization, you won't be adding their emails because as you are typing their name, you will see it. They are already part of your organization. So you just automatically see it. So what I do for my team is I don't do invite a team. I do start a team because I know they are my team members. We are or a squad. So I will start a team and put them together in a team. You understand? I will start a team and put all the team name. So I can say our squad name is Cyber Squad. Maybe we are working on this cyber security project. Then you now start mentioning their name, right? You can see because you people are now here, all the people that have joined. Ella has joined, right? At Floxy. You understand what I'm saying? I'm already the one creating, so it's not adding me. So you can add up to 10 people at a time. Then you create a team, right? So if you come here, anytime you have a team called Cyber Squad, this is not showing yet, it will come up, okay? So you have a team called the Cyber Squad, okay? So it should come up, you should have a team called the Cyber Squad, okay? So for those people that have access already, please do that. Just get to morale, you know, take one at a time. If you are taking playlists, please put your name on it so that people don't take that again, right? So if you are taking that, don't put your name on it so people don't take that again, okay? Then do that, then tomorrow we'll start from there, okay? If you can write stories too, if you can't write story, don't stress yourself. Even if it's one, you can write story for, just write. For any story you are writing, just make sure it's part of the one in the release one. Okay, so I think we'll stop there today and tomorrow we'll start. Timmy, you said you didn't get the email. I didn't get your email. Your email was already up and I couldn't scroll back up. Is it Timmy Olu?
Yeah, I put it in the chat.
I couldn't scroll again. Timmy Olukade, right?
Yeah.
Let's see.
But I didn't get the email, so
I'm just sending it now. So
okay.
When you pick, anything you pick, please write your name so that others know that it's there already. So work on this thing and tomorrow we'll start from there. So thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your evening and we'll meet tomorrow. Hopefully we'll finish tomorrow. Then we don't have to meet on Friday. But if we don't finish, we'll take like 1 hour to finish up on Friday. Okay?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Enjoy your evening.
Thank you, Flo.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.